Go back and forth here because we see Virginia Senator Mark Warner now being asked questions outside of that briefing that senators were taking today on the recent boat strikes. Let's go right to him.
Doesn't see it before we break for the holidays. I also find it, more than disturbing that the requests I've made and others in a bipartisan way for the execution order, for the after action report, from the legal opinion that was around this specific strike on September 2nd, and for that matter, whether the overarching policy document was changed between September 2nd and it was actually written on September 5th, I got none of those answers. And as somebody who has cautioned my colleagues about making accusations, because once you make some of these accusations, you can't get them back, it's been more than frustrating to think that the documentation that might lend to their case, why they're not willing to give it to us. I do believe that General Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, would like to share that. I think the person, again, who, whether it's the video or sharing the documentation, holding this back is Pete Hegseth.
Secretary's right there.
Mr. Secretary, Secretary Rubio, can you come to the camera?
Oh, they're coming here. Sorry. I think the secretaries are coming here.
I'm just going to make a brief statement. I'll be introducing a live unanimous consent request to release the video both to the full Congress but also to the American people. The public should see this, and I hope that we'll have support to make it public. I found the legal explanations and the strategic explanations incoherent, but I think American people should see this video, and all members of Congress should have that opportunity. I certainly want it for myself.
Thank you, Senator.
Secretaries.
All right, thank you, guys. Obviously, we had a classified hearing, so the details of which we can't discuss. It's, I believe, our 22nd or 23rd bipartisan engagement. We'll continue to engage with Congress on this. We're headed to the House now to do a similar briefing and provide updates on this counter-drug mission, which is focused on dismantling the infrastructure of these terrorist organizations that are operating in our hemisphere, undermining the security of Americans, killing Americans, poisoning Americans. And this has been a highly successful mission that's ongoing and continued, and we're pleased to be here today to update Congress on how that's developing and how that's moving forward. As I said, I believe it's our 22nd, 23rd such engagement, certainly been at least the 4th or 5th that I've been involved in, and those will remain and be ongoing.
Okay?
I would just echo that. It is the 22nd bipartisan briefing we've had on a highly successful mission to counter designated terrorist organizations, cartels, bringing weapons meaning drugs, to the American people and poisoning the American people for far too long. So we're proud of what we're doing, able to lay it out very directly to these senators and soon to the House. But it's all classified. We can't talk about it now. We're also going to tomorrow allow the HASC and SASC to see the unedited video of the September 2nd, alongside with Admiral Bradley, who has done a fantastic job, has made all the right calls, and we're glad he'll be there to do it. But in keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course we're not going to release a top-secret, full, unedited video of that to the general public. HASC and SASC and appropriate committees will see it, but not the general public.
Okay, you just heard from Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. They are speaking after coming out of a confidential briefing with senators, and now they are headed to a similar briefing with House leaders. And you heard it from him there. Some of the questions, as you also heard from Senator Warner out of Virginia, saying that they have questions surrounding that September 2nd attack in which it has been reported that there was an initial attack and 2 individuals on this alleged drug boat survived, and then there was a call for an additional attack on there to kill those 2 individuals who are on that boat. You heard it from Marco Rubio there, or maybe Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. I can't remember who said it in a moment, but this is what they've continued to say, is that this is to dismantle drug operations, particularly within that region, that make their way into the United States. There are critics who believe that there are other motives in play here, including placing pressure on the current president of Venezuela, Maduro. But you heard there from Warner that there are other questions that they still have, not just on that September 2nd attack, but other questions that they have that they don't fully believe were answered in this particular private briefing that took place today. However, you heard there that Defense Secretary Hegseth says that they are going to allow certain individuals to look at the full, complete footage of that particular attack. And again, as they're headed at the moment, and we were just seeing video, to meet with House leaders. This comes after dozens of these attacks have taken place so far within the last several weeks. At least 95 people, by the most recent count, have been killed in these strikes on these, again, suspected drug boats. And that's when the question, we say suspected because a lot of the lawmakers on both sides want to know what evidence that we have as a country into this particular narcotic operation, these boats, and what has been used to verify what is on these particular vessels. In fact, there was a strike just yesterday on Monday that killed 8 people, and that is according to the Defense Secretary website. I mean, not website, Twitter, X, social media, in which Defense Secretary Hegseth said that the Joint Task Force conducted lethal strikes on 3 vessels that they say were operated by designated terrorist organizations in international waters, okay? Saying that intelligence confirmed the vessels were transiting along known narco trafficking routes in the Eastern Pacific and were engaged in narco trafficking or drug trafficking, okay? So that just happened yesterday. This is coming on the heels of that, but really a lot of the questions are going to be focused on what took place on September 2nd. Okay, Sarah, we have a few different things that are going on right now, but just kind of going along with this theme for now, let's go to Lindsey Graham there, News 1, Channel 1. Again, he's coming out of that briefing. We're going to go to see what he had to say, what he kind of gleaned from that conversation with the 2 secretaries.
Literally invaded the country, took the president in power, and put him in jail. That's not limited. Well, it doesn't matter the duration. The point is we have legal authority, in my view, to do in Venezuela what we did regarding Panama and Haiti. The question is, how long does it take? It's not an issue for me. If you want to stage this thing, fine. But I want to address the question, is it the goal to take him out? If it's not the goal to take him out, you're making a mistake.
Senator, is it regime change to take him out? Is it regime
Yes.
change or kill him? Like, what
I don't care. Just as long as he leaves.
Did they explain that as a regime change? Was that the goal?
No, I'm saying if it's not the goal, it is a huge mistake. Do you understand what I'm saying? If after all this, we still leave this guy in power, what did Trump say? His days are numbered. Every indication by President Trump is that the purpose of this operation is to shut down the Maduro regime and replace it with something less threatening to the United States. Exactly what we did in Panama. And what I want is some clarity going forward. Is that, in fact, the goal? If it is the goal, I would celebrate that being the right goal.
They need to come back, or that there should be hearings.
Right?
Huh.
Doesn't that underpin then the need for oversight?
No,
clarity on the ultimate goal?
We oversight. What I want to do is, we didn't. I don't know who provided oversight to the invasion of Panama. This is not about look at the video. Let Congress look at the video. What? No, Congress. I'm saying they should give it to Congress. I support that. I think that's fair.
Did you vote for the provision in the NDAA that restricts some of Secretary Hegseth's travel budget if the video is not?
I have told him that I think he should release the video. But the point you're missing here is not about blowing up a single boat. We've blown up 25 boats. For what purpose? Why are we killing all these people? To protect America. And if Maduro is what they say he is, and I believe them, he needs to go. It should be the policy of the United States that when this is over, he's no longer standing, like Noriega was no longer in charge of Panama. If that's the goal, count me in. And I want to know, what's the plan for the day after?
Has the administration properly articulated the objective here with Venezuela?
I think they've articulated their legal authority. I think they've articulated how they decide to blow somebody up and not. But I want clarity right here. President Trump is saying his days are numbered. That seems to me that he's got to go. If it's the goal of taking him out because he's a threat to our country, then say it. And what happens next? Don't you think most people want to know that?
So then do you want them to come back, and would you like to see
Huh?
public
They didn't
hearings?
answer that question.
They gave an answer that was confusing to me.
So do you want them to come back, and should there be public hearings?
I want us to be level with the American people what we're doing. I think we're doing a good thing. I think we're making us safer as a nation. We're cleaning up our backyard. Too many Americans have died from he's aligned with Hezbollah. There's a million reasons you want Maduro to go, but just say it. Just say, this man in our backyard runs a narco-terrorist state aligned with international terrorists. He's a blight on the region. He's there illegitimately. He's not the lawful elected leader. He needs to go and come up with a plan to take him out if he will not voluntarily
You
leave.
said you were confident about
Senator Graham, but
if
that's the issue, though, with you saying, I'm not impressed with their plan here. Why wouldn't Congress then assert itself with an authorization and say, this is the plan, this is what
No, that's not what we're doing here.
Why wouldn't you do that?
What am I authorizing? It's not my job to be Comanche. It's not my job to come up with a plan. It's my job to ask them, what is the plan? We're not military leaders here. If you have Congress come up with a plan to invade Venezuela, what could possibly go wrong? That's not a very good idea. I think we should push the administration. I am. Be clear on what the end game is. If the end game is to take Maduro down, count me in. I just want you to articulate what happens next.
Senator, was there talk of a land operation in Venezuela?
No, but I think you have to have all options on the table if, in fact, your goal is to take him down. And if it's not your goal to take him down, you're making a major mistake, because what you're doing is you're displaying a lot of force, you're labeling the guy as a threat to the country, and at the end of the day, he still stands. Every other terrorist group out there will see that as tremendous weakness.
So you would support a land operation?
I would support whatever's necessary to reach the end goal, and I don't think we need to invade Venezuela to get there. I think there are targets on the land that would rattle the infrastructure around Maduro, that it would break our way. We need to make sure that the goal, when this is all said and done, this man no longer leads a narco-terrorist state.
If regime change is the goal,
Okay, that was a lot that the senator just said, particularly there at the end. Again, that was what I was talking about. The those who have criticized these boat attacks, these suspected drug boat attacks, have said that this is more of a push to place pressure on the current president of Venezuela, Maduro, who, as you heard from the senator, if you look officially there within our U.S. government website, they do not see him as the appropriate leader of that country, the rightfully taking office in that country. And there have been calls to pressure him to be out of that particular position. In the meantime, we have more of our military presence that has been getting closer and closer into that region, for sure, including right here from Norfolk, Virginia, where we're based in Hampton Roads. The USS Gerald R. Ford Strike Group has moved closer into the area around that particular region. And so, again, all of this kind of feeding into some tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela here within the recent weeks and months. Again, these boat strikes that have taken place, at least 95 people have been killed in those. At least more than a dozen, I believe, strikes have taken place already. It was just interesting, too, to hear the senator ask that question there at the end of would he support some form of ground operation, land operation there in the country. And he said he would support whatever he believed or that they believed was necessary to reach that particular conclusion. And that is interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see how many other lawmakers would agree on that. And I'm sure that would be a very divisive or controversial statement between various lawmakers on both sides of the aisle of that conversation. So, again, just wanted to go in and out as more people come in. I don't think we'll have any more senators coming out of that briefing, though, just by the way things look right now. And again, we told you, as you heard, that the Defense Secretary and Secretary of State Marco Rubio were going to meet with House lawmakers now. So we don't anticipate seeing too many more senators coming out of that briefing at this point if they have not already spoken. However, we are anticipating the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, speaking on the economy and affordability. This at a rally in Allentown, Pennsylvania, that has already begun, and we do have some of the speakers that are up on stage at the moment who are speaking. We did hear from him earlier, so we're going to wait, obviously, to get him on stage. But prior to this, reporters were able to catch up to him. I think this was before he got on the plane to go to Pennsylvania, and asked him a few questions. Here's what the vice president said, and maybe it could give us a little bit of insight into what he'll be speaking from the podium about.
We're excited to be back in Lehigh County, Pennsylvania.
He said more than that. Just sometimes when we play in our systems the videos, it kind of freezes a bit. Give us a quick moment here. We're going to re-upload it on our end so that you can hear from the vice president and what he had to say. Working on that at the moment. Okay, I think work on that in a moment, but obviously he said more than that at this time. You know, just thinking about affordability and the economy. Again, we had Bob McNabb, Dr. McNabb from Old Dominion University on our show, I think last week, maybe last Wednesday. And we were speaking about how big of a conversation affordability and the economy has become, obviously, within the last year and the last election cycle, and how it has played a role in, you know, the elections that we had here in Virginia and what it will play in the midterms. And this has now become the talking point along with healthcare. And so that is why I think we're going to hear from the vice president today, as there have been critics of the administration and how they have handled the economy. People who are very much so supporters, having questions about whether or not the administration has fully followed through with the things in which that they said they would, in making certain things a priority. Meanwhile, affordability, again, prices have been going up in certain cases. And so people feeling that, although we're seeing the administration asking for more time in their plans, like with tariffs and et cetera. So anyway, let's hear from Vice President J.D. Vance and what he said earlier today.
Hey guys, good morning. I managed to walk through that patch of black ice without busting my butt, so it's a good start to the day. We're excited to be back in Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. We're going to talk about all the things that we're trying to do to lower prices and make life more affordable for American families. We know people suffered a lot under the policies of the Biden administration. We're working very hard to correct those problems. I think we've made a lot of progress over the past 10 months, but of course there's a lot more progress to be made. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm excited to be back in Pennsylvania. We'll take some questions on the other end, but you guys should get inside because it's cold out here. See ya.
Okay, so not too much to glean in from that, just that he is excited to be in Pennsylvania, and he is going to have some things to say today. Let's go ahead, while he is still not come to the podium yet. Let's see, I do believe we have Senator Mark Kelly, who is speaking right now with those reporters after that briefing. Let's hear from him.
You say you asked a question and then Secretary Hegseth brought up investigation into you. How exactly?
He didn't say investigation. You know, his talking points on the video that the six of us released and what he thinks about this. And then eventually I replied to him and I said, hey, these are the same views you had in 2016. Very eloquently, I said, like the way he expressed himself in 2016 about this, you know, same issue. And I said, by the way, you were specifically speaking about this president.
What did he say?
He didn't really say anything, and he was trying not to answer some of the specific questions that I had about these boat strikes.
Some of you in that video are going to get access to see the unedited video.
Yeah, I'll see it tomorrow. Yeah, it should be released, certainly, to every U.S. senator. There is no reason why to pick and choose, like you're on armed services or you're on intel, you get to see this. We're all equal in this job. We represent people all across this country. And it's all of our responsibility to hold this administration, and in this case, the Department of Defense, accountable for their actions. But they have issues. Obviously, they have issues with what is in that video, and that's why they don't want everybody to see it. What we also need is open hearings so the American public can learn about this directly from the people that they employ, the Secretary of Defense, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the admiral in charge of the operation. All those individuals should be in a public hearing, and that video, by the way, should be released publicly. They released all the video that they liked, and then they got to one specific video that they know creates some problems for them, and for that reason they don't want it released.
You told me a few weeks ago that you trust Chairman Wicker that he's going to conduct oversight on this. Do you still feel like he will hold hearings and he will call?
I think he's going to try to. Yeah, sure.
Do you accept anything about Secretary Hegseth's argument that the full unedited video is of a level of classification that can't be shown to all members of the
Well, I haven't seen it yet, but that's what he claims. But he showed other videos, and very quickly, by the way. They're all about getting views on his Twitter account. It's rather performative. But this operation is not like other operations that they try to compare it to, right? There's no authorization from Congress. It is not like when we went after Al-Qaeda. This is different. And to me, this still feels like this is law enforcement. This is drug interdiction. And we don't want cocaine coming to U.S. shores. Fentanyl, by the way, is a much bigger problem. And if you took the resources that are being applied to this problem in the Caribbean and you put those resources on the southern border at the land ports of entry with technology to detect and interdict fentanyl, that's where you're going to get some good results, because this operation is costing millions and millions of dollars every single day. Let me just say, those routes through the Caribbean are not to traffic fentanyl. Everybody knows that. They don't even have to. Nobody will even ask that question, because everybody understands that these are routes to traffic cocaine, predominantly to Western Africa and to Europe.
Has DOD reached out?
Well, I have tremendous respect for Senator Sheehy. I asked a question to the Coast Guard Admiral, about how many interdictions have they done in the same period of time. I'm not going to tell you what he said, but that is the question I had for him. I think he'd be surprised by the answer.
Has DOD reached out to you at all as a part of their investigation into the video?
The last thing I heard from DOD regarding me personally was in 2011, when I retired from the United States Navy and was given the Legion of Merit for my service to this country. So again, yeah, this is all a bunch of bullshit. And the reason why, I think, is because this is just about sending a message to retired service members, active duty service members, government employees. Do not speak out against this president, or there will be consequences. So it's a lot bigger than just dealing with me, and that's why they don't handle this professionally. Like you would expect at some point that DOD would notify me of like an investigation, but they haven't, and they haven't because I think what they really care about is the public message. They're going after me, a U.S. Senator, for something I said that was lawful. It was the truth. It was something people are trained on. It was something that Pete Hegseth said in 2016 multiple times. And in his case, specifically about this president and his concerns. They don't want other people saying these kind of things. So they're trying to shut people up. But in this case, they picked the wrong guy, because I'm not going to shut up about this. I'm going to continue to do my job.
You heard there from Senator Mark Kelly, and he is mentioning, as we are looking live right now, Vice President J.D. Vance just walked up to the podium. We're going to get to him literally in a few seconds here. I just want to give two quick things. One, the cursing thing, this is a live feed. You heard him say a word there. Obviously, that's live in the moment. The other thing is, when it comes to what they're discussing, remember, this is after Kelly and 5 other Democratic members of Congress made a video reminding U.S. troops that they should not obey illegal orders. Okay, that was posted on social media. It received backlash from the members of the Trump administration and Republicans who said that it was inappropriate. The Department of Defense said that they were going to come out and the Justice Department that they were going to investigate Kelly. You heard him there questioned about that. He says he has not heard from any official about being investigated for his words at this moment. And the president at that time had said some very choice words that became very controversial on Truth Social, calling the video seditious behavior and that it was punishable by death. And so that is what he was referring to, that entire episode about a month ago that led into the back end of that conversation.